Mortal Kombat 1 has had several big changes recently, and as a result, the character balance has shifted wildly. Many bottom tier characters are now top 10, and certain top tier characters have been nerfed heavily. And due to all these changes, most content creators have not posted their own tier list yet. But fear not, since I'll always be here with the quality tier list content that players crave. So today, let's rank every character in Mortal Kombat 1 from best to worst. Make sure to comment down below what your tier list looks like, and without any further ado, let's begin. And I want to start off with some surprises. For starters, Nitara is actually top 8 now. That's right, she's not number 1, but she is in the top 8. As crazy as that sounds, keep in mind this character used to be bottom 3. Some players even argued she was the worst in the entire game. But then recently in an update, she got a bunch of buffs that made her really good, and then on top of that, Ferra, the newest cameo character, is the perfect match for Nitara. These characters go together like peanut butter and jelly. Every combo Nitara does is now 50% damage minimum for 1 bar. And even though these combos rely on Ferra, the combos are so long that once Nitara is done, Ferra's already reloaded and ready to go. So when you combine these crazy combos with Nitara's insane mobility and a safe on block dive kick that also leads to a full combo, yeah, Nitara's crazy now. Great mobility, crazy high damage, and Ferra makes her safe on everything. And as a result, boom, Nitara is now top 8, and pretty much nobody argues that. So next up, let's talk about Scorpion, because this character is not quite top 8, but he is top 10. In fact, some players think he's top 5. I would not go that far, but Scorpion is crazy strong in Mortal Kombat 1 right now, and once again, Ferra is to blame, because Scorpion already had the best whiff punishing in the game and crazy mobility thanks to his teleport, but now Ferra makes all of that safe on block, or it combos on hit. Or in other words, Scorpion can just get behind you at any point with Ferra and either get a combo or be completely safe on block. And even if he's not right behind you, he can just whiff punish anything with that crazy back 3 of his, and once again, teleport plus Ferra equals a full combo without having to spend bar. And if all that wasn't crazy enough, once Scorpion does hit you, the combo damage is insane. We're talking dead in 2 combos. And keep in mind, Scorpion always had high damage combos, but with Ferra, he's now killing you in 2 combos, which was unheard of before. Oh, and by the way, Ferra also buffs your health, which makes her great for Nitara and Scorpion. Alright, so with those 2 surprise picks out of the way, let's resume this tier list like normal. Who's the best character in the game? Honestly, despite all the nerfs, I still think it's Johnny Cage, because look what happened at EVO. The 2 grand finalists picked Johnny Cage, even though for most of the tournament they were not using Johnny Cage, but when it came down to winning the whole thing, they both picked Johnny Cage, and I think that speaks volumes. This guy has a really fast mid, he's got very good hit confirms, great combo damage, and the cameo characters make him safe on everything. And that's why he continues to be number 1, or at least tied for number 1, because I would argue Kenshi is also really good, and that's because Cyrax got buffed like crazy recently, and Cyrax has always been a great partner for Kenshi, and that's because Cyrax lets Kenshi summon his spirit even on block, and the opponent just has to deal with all the shenanigans. Normally it had to be on hit. You would freeze the opponent with Sub-Zero or somebody else, and then summon the clone, jump over the opponent's head, and then just bully him relentlessly. But now with Cyrax, you can even do it on block, you don't need the hit. So combine that with all the buffs that Cyrax got, and the guaranteed bomb in between rounds, because that's a thing too. If timed correctly, you can summon Cyrax, and then the second round 2 starts, his bomb will detonate, and the opponent can't even block it. So it gives you a guaranteed combo. Now, is that going to be fixed? Maybe at some point, but right now it makes Kenshi tied for first place. Because once again, Kenshi was already great on his own, nobody would argue that, but Cyrax being his best partner and also getting buffed just makes this guy crazy good. But then let's talk about Tanya, because some people think Tanya is the best character in the game. I'm still not convinced. I agree that on paper she is crazy good, but so far the tournament results just aren't there. Now, when it comes to the online leaderboards, I do believe that Tanya is number 1 in Xbox. In fact, many of the top players on Xbox are Tanya players. So in the online competitive space, Tanya is really good, but I just don't see her winning a lot at tournaments, and that's why I think she's top 3 and not quite top 1. But then next up we have Homelander. Where is he? There we go. So this man got a lot of nerfs, but honestly they were mainly bug fixes. This character was plus on block when he was not supposed to be. He had some really weird flight glitches, and honestly a few of the glitches are still there, but the ones that made him really good at tournament have finally been fixed and nerfed, and as a result Homelander is still really good, but he's no longer pay to win top 1. For anyone not aware, during EVO most people would have agreed that Homelander was top 1. Now I'd say he's top 4, top 7, right? So still really good, but at least now he's more manageable. He's not crazy unfair anymore. And then right behind him is the queen herself, Sindel. For obvious reasons, not much has really changed about this character. She lands a hit, she screams in your face, goes for a really tough, hard to block overhead low mix-up, and then recycles the whole thing over again. She can buff her cameo character so the summons happen faster, right? This makes her much more powerful as a character too, and sometimes she gets lucky and can take control of your cameo, which not only makes her stronger, but also removes your option for a cameo, which literally cuts your power level in half, because Mortal Kombat 1 is all about the cameo characters, and that's why Sindel in the hands of a good player is probably always going to be top 8. But next up, let's talk about Reiko. This character is still crazy good as well. I don't think he gets any ridiculous benefits from Ferra, and he wasn't given any crazy buffs either, but even so, Reiko's always going to be good. He's got an amazing command grab that leads to full combos with the right cameo, and he's got the best projectile in the game. None of that has changed, and as a result, Reiko is still going to be top 10. Next up, let's talk about Ashrah, the finalist for top 8. I still think this character is very strong, but she did not get buffs like many other characters did in the recent update, and on top of that, she does not benefit that much from Ferra, and that's why I think she's still good, but she's no longer in the top 5, top 7. She does barely make top 8 though, so good for her. Alright, now it's time for A tier, baby. We already got Scorpion here, and we talked about why, but I think right behind him is Liu Kang. Some people would argue it's Kitana, but once again, I just don't see the tournament results to support this. I see so many top players using Liu Kang at tournaments and doing well, and every now and then people play Kitana and do well, but it's just not as frequent. And as a result, I don't think Kitana is better than Liu Kang, but some top players do believe that to be the case. I don't think I need to explain why Liu Kang is great. I think everyone already knows. He's got amazing zoning and keep away, he's really good up close and safe with the right cameo, and he combos off his throw easier than pretty much everybody else. Honestly, the only reason Liu Kang is not in top 8 is because his combo damage is not as high and his mobility is not absurd like some other characters. And Kitana is pretty similar. She suffers from not having any mix-ups, but she has the best whiff punish in the game, some of the best pokes in the game, her counter zoning and zoning are both really good, and her combo damage is surprisingly good as well, and as a result, Kitana is quite good. I don't think she's insane. Some players think she's top 5. I don't quite agree. I think she's very good, but I don't think she cracks the top 8. Next up, we have Ermac, and real quick, I have to say, I told you so. Because everybody online was bullying me saying, you don't know what you're talking about, Ermac is top 3, Ermac is top 5, but then Combo Breaker got here, and how many players were using Ermac? Almost nobody. And then Evo got here, how many players were using Ermac? Almost nobody. And don't get me wrong, the character is good, those dash cancels are cracked and feel really unfair online in a bad connection, but once you learn and adapt to the opponent's patterns, you can punish him for those dash cancels, so it's not as overpowered as people think, and he does not get combos off low unless he has 2 bars of meter, so the mix-ups aren't that crazy either, and without the right cameo, his damage tickles too. So don't get me wrong, Ermac might have the best offense in the game, but even so, it takes more than that to be top tier in Mortal Kombat 1. I still think he's great, but as the tournament results have shown, he's not the best, he's just really good. So next up, let's talk about Rain. So this character's performance is intriguing to me because I would have thought for sure he'd be in the top 8 because he got so many buffs, all these new attacks, a ton of love from Netherrealm, and one of his best partners is Cyrax, who did get some buffs, but the more I watch high-level matches and gameplay, I just don't see very much Rain, so I don't think he's top 8 anymore, but maybe you could argue he's like right here maybe. I think that's fair. maybe even in front of Kitana and Liu Kang, but I'm gonna put him here for now because I just don't see the results on paper. I think in theory he's really good, but I just don't see enough people using him and winning with him. But I think it could be possible that Rain is just one of those unexplored characters, and somebody is gonna show us how crazy this character can be, maybe Sonic Fox. I think Rain is so much more versatile than most of the roster, but people try to play him like a regular rushdown character, which I don't think he is. I think Rain is meant to be a jack of all trades that can change and adapt to any opponent. Anyway, next up, let's talk Mileena, one of the highest damaged characters in the game until Natara showed up. Natara has better mobility and a better combo damage than Mileena, but Mileena is still great. She's got fast hitting moves, she can break armor really consistently. She doesn't have a very good mid though, that's always been her issue. She doesn't have any real mix-ups either, so like Kitana, she does rely on whiff punishing, and comboing off of her throw is way more difficult. Kitana also combos off her throw super easy like Liu Kang. Mileena does not have that luxury, which is why it sucks how Movado got nerfed, because Movado was like her best partner, because every throw did like 30% damage, and that's what Mileena needed, but then Movado got nerfed, so there that went. Then we have Li Mei. For a brief moment, this character was top 10, but then Ferra dropped, and unfortunately, she does not synergize that well with Li Mei, unlike many of these other top 5, top 8 characters, and that's why Li Mei went from top 10 to like top 15. She's still fantastic. She is technically the fastest character in the game with that special move. It leads to a full combo, which is incredible, and her combo damage overall is also quite good, but she's been dethroned thanks to Ferra. And even though her attack range did get buffed a little bit, she still has T-Rex arm syndrome, and as a result she loses pretty hard to keep away in zoning, so that's an issue as well. Next up we have Kung Lao. This character has always been very solid. Some people think he's closer to top 10. Once again, I just don't see the tournament results to support that theory. I think he's very good, I just don't think he's top 10. He's definitely still an A tier. He's got some good combo damage, he's got some great mobility with the dive kick, and with the right cameo you can make all of that safe. So still a great character, but he's just missing a lot of those tools that made him good in past games like Mortal Kombat 9, X, and even in 11. Some pro players made him really good, but in Mortal Kombat 1 he's just lacking all of those classic Kung Lao tools because unfortunately they went to the cameo Kung Lao. Alright, next up we have B tier. Keep in mind these characters are still super good, they're just not crazy good, but they're still good. Reptile. This guy does crazy good damage even without bar. He can turn invisible and go for mix-ups all the time now, which is fantastic. And with the right cameo, he can guarantee setups. That makes him really strong as well. And as a result, you would think that Reptile is top 10 or top 15, but unfortunately that's just not the case. He can still lose pretty easily to keep away. He is still rather slow up close when it comes to his mids. Some things he does are very unsafe on blocks, so he does rely on that cameo to keep him safe. So when the cameo's gone, he plays much differently, and that's why he's sort of middle of the road. But don't get me wrong, at most levels of play online, Reptile is still really good. At the tournament level, he's mid-tier, but if you're playing online, you can easily make him feel top 10, trust me. And the same is true for Baraka as well, because thanks to the Cyrax buffs and the Ferra buffs and just the overall gameplay shift meta of Mortal Kombat 1 in general, Baraka is finally decent again. For a while, he was like bottom 5, bottom 3. That's no longer the case. He's either mid-tier or upper mid-tier depending on who you ask. I don't think anybody believes that he's top 10, but many pro players do believe he's a threat, so like he's upper tier. I agree, I think Baraka's kind of middle of the road, mainly because he does rely on cameos to get stuff started, but once he does get started, that bleed damage, man, is just nuts, and before you know it, your character is dead. So with the right cameo, Baraka is really scary, but just like Reptile, he needs that cameo to be available in order to play the game properly. Alright, but next up we have Sub-Zero. I think maybe Sub-Zero could be in top 10. I may move him there later, but I've done some research of other creators and other pros, and they've told me that Sub-Zero is more like mid-tier now. And I think that's because everyone else just kind of moved around him. For a while, when Chameleon was the meta and the best cameo in the game, Sub-Zero was also arguably a top 10, top 12 character, but now that Ferra is the new kid on the block, she does still synergize well with Sub-Zero, but just not as well as Chameleon did, and as a result, Sub-Zero's kind of mid-tier now, but but he's still not bad. I think when I play him, he's top 10, by the way. When I play Sub-Zero, he becomes top 10, but most people would tell you he's mid-tier. I think I might agree, but I could also just put him right here and be like completely content with this choice. I think both options are fine. We'll see how I feel as this video goes on. He really is like that good. And also Mortal Kombat 1, the tier list, these characters are all closer than you think, all right? So if I put your favorite character in mid-tier, just understand that the difference between mid-tier and top 10 is so minimal right now. The character balance feels so good in this game, with the exception of the bottom tier characters, unfortunately. They still do have it kind of rough. Next up, we have Omni-Man, the jack of all trades but master of none. He's got pretty dang good mobility, but loses to up block because he can't fake the teleport, unlike Peacemaker. Peacemaker's terrible now, by the way. He's in C tier, but my point is, for a while, Peacemaker had the same thing as Omni-Man, but he could fake you out with it, which made him really good. With Omni-Man, if he teleports and you see it, just up block and he's dead, so that's a big problem. At high level, he does need his cameos to get in, and that's why he's stuck in B tier. Most of these characters in B tier heavily rely on their cameos, whereas everyone in A tier or top 8 is completely fine by themselves, but the cameos just make them better, kind of like steroids, whereas B tier is more like handicapped people that rely on their cameo character to get around, kind of like a wheelchair. Alright, next up is Quan Chi, and this character is interesting, because if you do not study how to deal with him, he is top 5, and I'm not joking. A Quan Chi player actually beat me at EVO, and that's why I was out of the tournament, because I did not know what to do against this nonsense. He will lock you in the skeleton prison or knock you down, then summon that portal that pushes you away, and it just steals your meter constantly, so you can't combo break, but also he gets armor the more meter he steals, and he will just eat your hits and combo you. It's really frustrating, and I did not know what to do. You're thinking, oh, just block, but Quan Chi has some really tough mix-ups that are hard to fuzzy, so it makes him really, really scary if you don't study him. Now that said, at the competitive level, people do understand what Quan Chi can do, they know how to beat it, they know how to break the armor, and that's why he's more in mid-tier. But if you don't study how to fight Quan Chi, make no mistake, he's all the way up here in top 5. Like, he really is that scary if you don't study what to do against this guy. So he's one of those weird situations where at the casual level, he's top 5, but at the competitive level, he's mid-tier. Alright, next up we have General Shao. Before Movado got nerfed, I think General Shao was an A tier. I honestly do, because when he got the axe down, he became the scariest mix-up character in the game. His low and overhead led to full combos, and even his command grab, which is unblockable, also led to a full combo that did 50% for just 1 bar of meter, did that much damage. That's insane, dude. He was crazy, he was cracked, and on top of that, he's always had the best whiff punish in the game from around jumping distance. His standing 2 is like 8 frames for no reason, and he hits you with the axe, which means the hitbox is disjointed. In other words, he can hit you, but you can't hit the axe, so it makes him really good at whiff punishing. It was incredible. So General Shao for a time was like guaranteed top 12 or top 15, but now sadly he's comfortable in mid-tier, which is fine. Right behind him is Takeda. This guy does crazy damage and has some really good range. The issue is he's slow. That's really all there is to it. He's slow, and you can play keep away against him because his teleport is not a regular teleport. He runs at the opponent, and this means he's vulnerable the entire time while he approaches, unless he armors through it, right? Otherwise he's vulnerable the entire time. And while he does have cool air mobility, that's not a great option anymore because the uppercut combo is now unbreakable. You can't do anything to escape it. So if your main way to get in is being in the sky, that's actually not good in the new meta of Mortal Kombat, unless you have a crazy fast dive kick like Natara or Kung Lao. But if you're just swinging through the air like Takeda, that's super risky. You get uppercutted and boom, 50% damage, and you can't escape it. There's no combo breaker for that. Next up, we have Smoke. I don't think he's terrible, okay? I know it seems bad, but he's not in the bottom tier, so he's not terrible, but the issue is at the competitive level, he does lose to up block, and I'm not joking, up block is his worst nightmare. You can fuzzy block most of his mix-ups, and his vapor cancel is still too tough in my opinion. Everyone else, their cancel combos are pretty easy, but for some reason, Smoke's vapor cancels are just ridiculous online. In a bad connection, they're almost impossible, and that means his best combos just don't get to work online a lot of the time, which is a shame. So his mix-ups are seeable, his combo damage ain't crazy good, and up block is his worst nightmare, so that's why Smoke is still kinda lacking, but he's still not bad. Alright, but then we have the bottom tier. Oddly enough, Raiden is down here, which I find so funny, but it's because now he is like the most milquetoast bland character, and you can't do his block damage shenanigans anymore. He can't rely on chip damage over and over again, so that also makes him a lot weaker. And then we have Shang Tsung, who is in desperate need of some buffs. I feel like Shang Tsung needs something really special, like some new attacks of some kind, similar to what Scorpion got or even Rain. Just give him some new stuff. It's kind of ironic because Shang Tsung is arguably the most complex character, and as a result you would think that he's really good, but it's kind of working against him. It makes him kind of tricky. At the casual level he's great because just spam fireballs. Ignore that voice crack, it did not happen. But yeah, at the casual level just spam fireballs, right? And then finally, last and also least, we have Havik and Garrus. I go back and forth on who I think is the worst. I think that Havik has some really fun stuff at the casual level, and I do see Havik at the tournament scene somewhat often now, which is why I was considering putting him above Garrus, but the more I think about it, Garrus just has way more tools, right? He can even rewind time and get his health back, for Pete's sake. He can instantly freeze time, teleport behind the opponent and get a combo, crazy stuff like that, and Havik players wish they could do any of those things. Havik players are whiff punishing, doing unblockable Cyrax bomb shenanigans, all that stuff. Just like Shang Tsung, Havik really does need some new moves, like some brand new stuff similar to Rain and the other characters that got new moves, right? Give it to Havik. He definitely needs something. Havik needs just one new string or some new special move that can synergize well with his kit and just boost him up, right? Just something really cool that makes him instantly better. I'm not sure what that would be, but what I'm saying is I think Havik is just missing one piece of the puzzle. A lot of what he has is interesting, and I think it's all so close to being tied together, but right now that puzzle piece is missing, and as a result he just feels like he's lacking that one crucial thing. Alright everyone, and there's my tier list for Mortal Kombat 1 until the Chaos Reigns update gets here. If you skipped ahead, haha, nerd, ha, what a loser. Everybody point and laugh at the guy who skipped ahead and is gonna get mad in the comment section for no reason because you skipped all my reasoning for all the character placements, so you have no right to be mad, but you're gonna get mad anyway because you're a loser, you skipper. To everyone else though who watched the full video, you're amazing. Thanks for watching and I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like down below. It helps my channel out a ton, and I do enjoy making tier list videos like this. So make sure to finish that combo by subscribing and ringing that bell so you never miss any future videos. Make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.